Come on, Wes, you gotta do this.
What's going on? It's your boy Wes, back at you know. Today we're gonna be checking out, reading about, talking about some bad news in the Smash Brothers community. The departure, I guess I don't know if it's resignation, I guess departure, resignation, just letting go, the let go of three legends of the Super Smash Brothers community. So with that being said, let's get it cracking. So let's see what's going on. Let's read about it. Let's talk about it. Let's chat about it. So, Liquid has announced their goodbyes to legends such as Chillindude, Ken, and True.TO. They are no longer part of Team Liquid. Not sure if they resigned or they let them go. I'm assuming their contract ended and they let them go. But let's keep reading. These players did so much to shape Smash Bros, and it was an honor to have them on board. We know they've done so much for Melee, Liquid, and esports. We put together a brief history of each player that you can read in the link below. I'm gonna go into the complete dynamics of how a bunch of this stuff came into fruition and just how the industry works. And I like see the thing about Liquid is like, here's something people don't know about Liquid. Liquid is one of the first big time esports orgs. One of the first big times. They set records. I think they held a Guinness World Record, if I'm not mistaken, for the highest earning esports team. Back in I think 2025. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But I know they held the Guinness World Record for that. I don't know when they got it. But it's like they're OG org. One of the first orgs. They've been around for a while. Team Liquid was funded in the Netherlands in the 2000s. Damn. That's before Smash Brothers Melee. So they was around for a while, bro. A while. So they was around kicking for a minute. So now, when were they funded? This is going to be a long video because I want people to understand the dynamics of this and understand like the dynamics of a players being on the team, understand the dynamics of the team, and they could piece it together and understand like this has been a journey for them, the players, and the org as a unit. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so here's the key milestones, key funding milestones. So they didn't really start popping off getting funding from what it seems. I could be wrong. Since 2016, it says the parent company, and what is it, Axiomatic or whatever, Axiomatic or whatever, acquired a majority stake in Team Liquid. Who else? It says received funding from investors like Tullis Health investors. So they received a lot of funding from different entities that kind of helped them become who they are. But it's crazy. I didn't know these guys were around since 2000. Damn, that's crazy, bro. Yo, they've been around since before me and my wife, before Super Smash Brothers Melee, for a while, for a long time. So it says, so it was founded by Victor Goosens, if I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, they was around for a minute. Get out of here. So anyway, right? So that's what it was. Because I remember how it went, right? Chillindude, see, based off of this right here. So let's go right here. Let's go down here, right? You see how Chillindude, right? Chillindude, you see the curse. Chillindude was part of Team Curse, right? And Ken was part of Team Liquid at the time. I don't know what True.TO was at the time. Not sure. But Chillindude was cursed. Ken was Team Liquid. Because I remember Chillindude was doing content where he was interviewing people. Anyway, I had an interview with Chillin, right? That's 100%. I had an interview with Chillin, and he was Team Curse at the time. And then eventually, Team Curse Esports Division was effectively founded on August 2011. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, you know what? It does make sense because I remember a little bit later on, Team Curse came around. Team Curse entered the Smash scene in 2014. That makes a bit of sense. So, Team Curse came around 2000. So the LLC was made 2006. But that was before they really was in Smash. So they came into Smash 2014, which makes sense. Like, so to put all of the information and pieces together. So, all right, so this is what happened. So Team Liquid was around for a while. They were doing their thing. They didn't get into Smash until a little bit later, right? And then Team Curse came about a little bit later. And eventually, Team Liquid absorbed Team Curse. So the way it worked, it was 2 for 2. 2 players on Team Curse, 2 players on Team Liquid. Team Curse consists of Hungrybox and Chillindude. Team Liquid consisted of Ken and Korean DJ. So basically, Team Curse consisted of these 2 guys, which was Chillindude and CONTINUED.TO. And then Team Liquid was Ken and Korean DJ. Then what happened was Team Liquid absorbed Team Curse, and then that's when we had 4 people. We had Ken, Chillindude, CONTINUED.TO, and then we had Korean DJ. But eventually, like years ago, I would say at least 4 years ago, more than that, they got rid of Korean DJ. So yeah, let's recap. Team Liquid, Team Curse. Team Liquid was Ken, Korean DJ. Team Curse was Chillindude and H-Box. They merged those 4 players into Team Liquid, and that's what happened. That's how I guess the Team Liquid dynasty started for Smash, to represent Smash. You know what I'm saying? So they had a pretty solid team during that time. You know, and we're gonna read briefly about all this. We're not gonna go tangent with this, but now that we know the lore between this trio being in Team Liquid and understanding just the dynamics of it all, and obviously that they are no longer going to be part of Team Liquid, let's see what kind of letter they wrote to them. So what kind of send-off letter they wrote. Okay. Today we're saying farewell to a trio of legends, Ken, Chillindude, and CONTINUED.TO. If you know esports well, this might not surprise you. The world of competitive gaming shifts quickly, and esports teams need to move just as swiftly, so that we don't get left behind. All 3 of these legends had already largely stepped away from the competition too. But for us, this is a farewell to 3 of our longest players. Yeah, they have been around for quite some time, a long time, and to 3 people who mean a lot to the history of Team Liquid and the Smash Brothers Melee and Super Smash Brothers Melee in 2014. Team Liquid was just a StarCraft and Dota team. This is true. Super Smash Bros. Melee became the 3rd esport we entered, and it was in no small part because we loved the world that we saw inside the Smash documentary. See, because that's what it is. Basically, we gotta understand, man. This Smash documentary really paved the way, really boosted a lot of these players' notoriety. It boosted Chillindudes. It boosted CONTINUED.TO. It boosted Ken and a bit of Hungrybox. You get what I'm saying? Because Hungrybox during that time, he was doing well. He was doing his thing, but he wasn't the focus. He wasn't the focus like that. He really started becoming crazy. He wasn't in the Smash documentary as the focus of this, like one of the head honchos in the Smash documentary. So I see how the play went. Basically, Smash documentary came out, and a lot of these esports orgs is like, all right, we gotta grab them up. These guys are doing well. They're known well. They're cream of la creme of the Smash Brother community. So let's grab them up and let's put them part of our team and see what we can do. Anyway, moving forward, the skill, the passion, the grassroots community, the willingness to put your whole self into the game. It all felt parallel to early StarCraft Brood War scene. That was, see, this is what I'm saying. Like, they also loved the fact that I guess Smash Brothers players were just like, we are passionate, man. Especially Melee. I'm telling you right now, there is no Smash Brothers community that was more focused, more try hard than Melee. Nobody. The reason why I say that is because during my time, right? I'm gonna say I'm gonna sound old. Back in my days, in order to get good at the game, you had to grind the hell out. You hosted sessions. You went to people's houses. You grinded the hell out. Nowadays, it's not like that. New cats of this era would not be able to survive back in the days. No way. No way. No way, no how. Because I don't sense that sense of urgency, that sense of drive like it was back in the day. But anyway, going on a tangent. So yeah, they understood that the Smash Brothers community was very passionate about their game, the players that they acquired. So it was definitely a match made in heaven. So anyway, moving forward, it says, so we entered with a splash by signing two Melee legends. See, I was right about this. Two Melee legends, players who were pillars that the scene was built on. Ken and Korean DJ, with an announcement video made by Samex, the creator of the Smash documentary over the years. We bring in Chillindude.TO as well. Two players who were still highly competitive but had also been in the Melee scene since the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? So it's like after they acquired Team Curse, it's not like they was just gonna let those guys go. They grabbed them up too. You know? So it says the Team Liquid banner held so much Smash history under it, and it felt fitting because we had always been the old school org ourselves, which is like I said, they were the old school org that housed a lot of old school players. They've been around since 2000. Crazy. I didn't even know that myself. 2000. I just found out today. So anyway, saying farewell to this trio does not change how we compete in Melee, but it does mark the end of an era for Team Liquid, for Smash, and for esports at large. A changing of the guard. A moment like this asks for a proper send-off, which is true, man. These guys, I'm gonna get it again. I'm gonna do it again, right? Let's clap it up, bro. Let's clap it up for them, man. They've been in this team. They've been in the scene for a while. They've done a lot for the scene. You know what I'm saying? They've done a lot for the scene. Not only just competitive, right? They have inspired people and I don't think you understand like the ripple effect these kind of things do when players get picked up by orgs, because back in the days, a lot of these esports orgs, they did not give a crap about Smash. They was playing stuff like Dota, StarCraft, right? First person shooters, Halo. Smash wasn't honestly the only org that really messed with Smash was I know people are gonna hate when I say this, but I don't give a crap. Was Empire, Empire Arcadia. That was one of the only orgs. And then slowly other people started following suit. Get what I'm saying? So yeah, Smash, these guys started a ripple effect. Other orgs started seeing what Smash players can do for their orgs. For their orgs through Team Liquid. So there's like, all right, we gotta pick up Smash players. So that's how Evil Geniuses. The list goes on. There was a whole bunch of orgs that just kept picking up different Smash players. You know what I'm saying? So they paved the way for Smash players to get picked up at esports teams, for sure. They're one of the people that paved the way. It was Team Liquid and Empire Arcadia. Those are the two. Curse obviously was around as well, but Curse didn't last that long. So that's why I'm only saying Team Liquid. Team Liquid and EMP. That's really it. Now, let's move forward, right? Let's read about King quick. The King of Smash, the original Red Marth, Melee's first greatest, which is true. Ken was the first greatest player during his time. You know what I'm saying? Ken was the first player to define Melee by setting a benchmark for everyone else to hit. His peak came in the earliest days of the game. The MLG era, circa 2003 to 2007, a time where he was, wow, this is a long stretch between 2003 to 2004. 4 years of dominance is no small feat. 4 years of dominance is no small feat, bro. It really isn't. It really isn't. Like, again, you got to give people their flowers. I'm going to keep giving Ken his flowers, you know what I'm saying? And I know you youngins are going to be like, well, the game just came out. No one gave a shit about the game. The game was thriving. Sometimes it's harder to be good at a game and invent new things and figure things out than to have things laid out for you already. You know what I'm saying? Like, this wasn't an easy era. I hate when people say that, but listen, again, 4 years is no small feat. But let's go to the next paragraph, right? So, like a lot of old greats, the game did gradually start to outpace Ken, but he often still had surprise. Up as 2007, Ken had mostly stepped away from competing, and when he did focus on melee, it was an organizer. It was organized. So 2007. So basically, this is something that isn't talked about a lot, but a lot of us greats, after a while, I'm gonna keep it real. The scene, as far as the skills and just the level of competitiveness, leaves, outpaces, because we stop playing as much, we don't travel as much, there's a lot of factors. So this is what happened to Ken, and he started hosting tournaments more than just competing, which makes sense. It's kind of like, think about the NBA. You're a legend in the NBA, you've been there for X amount of years, and you retire, and then what is it? You get a job at ESPN as a commentator, or something at like some kind of desk job or something. You know what I'm saying? Nothing on the court, but nothing on the court as a player, but more so anything around the player, such as commentator, coach, assistant coach, stuff like that. So this is like the approach that Ken made. After he slowly started like stepping away from the competitive scene. So moving forward, when we signed Ken in 2014, he didn't take back that crown again, but he made a solid return to the game that had advanced a lot since he left it. Eventually ranking in top 50, which is not bad, because since you guys want to call it the hard era, right? Your era, the hardest era, like, us old school guys could not compete, blah, 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 right? Or we couldn't get top 100. This man got top 50. He got top 50. When it's like, I always say, it's a lot of old school cats, since our hearts aren't 100% in it, and we're just older and do other things with ourselves. You are getting a shell of that player. You're getting a shell of that player. So this is why Ken, a shell of Ken is pretty dope. A shell of Ken getting top 500. Top 50 is pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? So even recently, when Ken played with Melee's current best, Marv Zane, he could still hold his own with some of the Melee's better online players, right? He's known for his time as a competitor, but Ken was also foundational to Melee as a tournament organizer and a colorful character. Yeah, Ken, again, he was competing. He was doing what he had to do, and he was still holding his own against some of these players. Obviously, Zane is better than Ken, of course, but to hold your own and be in the game for X amount of years, going back and forth, again, it's no small feat. So anyway, let's go even further about Ken and just understand like his accolades, like inside and outside the game. So outside of, not only did he became one of the GOATs in Smash, but he organized tournaments, and then on top of that, no other Smash player has done this. He was on the Survivor Series, and to top it off, he almost won it. Ken got 5th place. Let me tell you something. You know how hard it is to get 5th place in Survivor? Again, you know how hard it is to get 5th place in Survivor? That is not easy, because you got to be smart with puzzles. Your social game got to be up. And then you got to have some kind of physical prowess, right? And I don't know if Ken is managed really strong and stuff like that, but he was smart, because I seen him do some puzzle stuff, and he had a decent social game. So he made it. He made it pretty far in Survivor. That's not easy. That's definitely not easy. I've seen people who had, let's just say, like different levels of like attributes, right? So let's say intelligence, social game, and physical strength, like just being physically fit. I've seen people who had almost complete tens in all of those attributes as a survivor player get eliminated before Ken. So again, that's no small feat. Getting fifth place as survivor is no small feat, bro. Not easy. So based off all of those accolades, I see why Ken was in part of Team Liquid, and he stood as long as he did, because I think based off how long they kept Ken, it's like, it's Ken. It's kind of like that trophy you put, the accolade you put on your shelf, and you look at it like, whenever anybody comes to your house, they'll be like, damn, you really did that? You really accomplished that? That's how I see Ken being in Team Liquid for so long. It's like one of those proud accomplishments that you just want to hang on your wall for when the company sees things. They can be like, damn, you've been around that long and y'all did that back in the days? That's how I see Ken in Team Liquid and why he stood so long in Team Liquid. But let's go to Chillin' and let's see what they say about him. Let's see how much they said about him, because I'm not going to be going forever. So anyway, so Chillindude, shout outs to him, my boy. Hopefully you're recovering, you're doing well. I see the progress after your unfortunate health disaster, what happened to you like 3 years ago. But yeah, let's give him a shout. Let's clap it up for him. So when Ken looked his most unbeatable, Chillin was the first player to knock the crown loose. Yeah, so Chillindude was one of the first people to send, I think, Ken to the losers bracket, to actually make Ken hold a little L, like that temporary L to his chest. You know what I'm saying? So what it says right here, Chillin was perhaps Melee's first ever Prodigy Fox main, as well as Melee's first ever national level trash talker. I don't know about that, bruh. National level trash talker? I don't know about that, man. Chillin's constant trash talk. I don't know, man. I think that's your boy West right here, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know, but the only reason why I'm gonna let that slide because I was in and out of Melee. But if you want to say who's the best trash talker, it's me. Nobody's beating me in that. Hands down. But anyway, all of a sudden, he and Ken agreed that it was Chillin's constant trash talk on the Smash boards that led to the scene's first national tournament. Hold on. National tournament in an American Legion branch in Maryland. Yeah, all right. So that makes sense. Because, all right, let me give you a little context behind all of this whole story that people don't know. So, what they mean by, so when did Chillindude beat Ken? Or put him in losers? He put Ken in a losers bracket at this tournament called Game Over. Game Over was a tournament held in Maryland, and Chillin ran the tournament, right? Shout out to him for that. It started through trash talk on Smash boards. But here's the thing. From what I gathered, this wasn't the first time we actually played Ken and Isaiah. So basically, this wasn't our first interaction with the West Coast, right? Actually, damn. Yeah, this definitely wasn't our first interaction with West Coast. I guess the spoiler, I'm doing a series where I'm gonna be doing like little snippets of history. But anyway, this isn't the first interaction between West Coast and East Coast. Back in the days, this tournament called Ben, Best of New York, there was a person that came from West Coast to scout and see how East Coast played. We bust his ass and sent them back packing to the West Coast and told them the data, right? So that was actually the first interaction with West Coast versus East Coast, right? But when it came to like very good players from the East Coast playing very good players in the West Coast, tournament Go 5 was the first tournament. After that tournament, that's when Chillindude started talking crap. And then that's when about 4 people from the West Coast, like 4 top players from the West Coast, I forgot his name. It was a Falco player and a Peach player. Forgot their names, man. They're brothers though. They came from the West Coast, and then Ken and Isaiah, they came from the West Coast. Those they came with them as well. So those are the top 4 players from the West, like not top 4 players, but some of the top players from the West Coast came to East Coast to play at Game Over. So that's really what happened. And anyway, moving forward, it says as a TO, Chillin hosted the first ever National Melee Tournament. As a player, he delivered Melee's first great upset by beating Ken in the early rounds of that tournament. And Ken will come back to win the tournament and the era, but Chillin would establish himself as a top 10 level player and was foundational to Fox in a way similar to how Ken was with Marth. Yeah, which was true during that time. He was one of the top Foxes, similar to how Ken was with Marth. Because there weren't too many like beastly Foxes during that time. I mean, there was a few of them, but it was Chillindude, Hell Fox, and then maybe one other Fox. So now we're gonna go further into the lore. It says Chillin first joined Curse Gaming, then later became a part of Team Liquid as part of the Curse merger. Yeah, see, again, at this point in his career, Chillin had been eclipsed by other Fox mains. Yeah, because during this time when he got into Curse, the meta already evolved, and a lot of Fox already left him behind. Like, for goodness sakes, people like, what's his name? PC Chris. Like, there's so many Foxes that were just doing better than Chillin during that time. But he was already part of Team Curse. And that was just part of the deal when they did the merger. They got whoever Team Liquid got whoever Curse got. But the thing is that Chillin still was doing pretty well at tournaments and ranking, And I think what it was is that Chillin, I think he understood the assignment, right? He understood the assignment of, okay, I'm not going to be the best player in the world in this game, but I'm going to put on a damn good show when I do play. I'm going to make different kinds of content, etc. Like he even did things like Call Out Leffen and made a diss track. So it's like, regardless of how bad he did, he still made a complete spectacle of the situation. Got eyes on the situation, and that's all it was about. He lost really bad, but again, it is spectacle. It's entertaining for people. And that was Chillin's go-to thing. After he realized he probably wasn't going to be the best Fox or a super duper top Fox anymore. So that's why he, did stuff like with Leffen. Now, moving forward, Chillin started doing more and more diss tracks with people, streaming, commentating, doing a whole bunch of things to kind of rep the Team Liquid brand and keep himself relevant in the scene. Because listen, these are the things you got to do when you're in the esports org. You either here's what you got to do. It's either you got to be a mega good player, like winning tournaments, doing really really well, or you got to be a good entertainer, or your community outreach has to be insane. Those are the 3 paths. Those are the 3 paths in order to really get the attention of these esports companies, And I think Chillin noticed that early on and started to really horn in on that, and do well for himself, But then, unfortunately, 2022, he caught a stroke, and that put him in the hospital, and then, he just had to recover from there, And I think one of the reasons why they let him go, not because he got a stroke, but on top of him not. Here's the crazy thing about Chillindude, right? He was actually doing a good stretch more active in the scene in different ways than Ken and True.TO. I would even go as far as saying he was more active as far in the scene or just representing Team Liquid than Ken and probably True.TO combined, because he was commentating, right? He was commentating. He was He was streaming like hell, like crazy. He went to a lot of charity events. He made a bunch of different videos on YouTube, so he was doing a decent amount of things. You know what I'm saying? So again, he's one of those other anomalies in Team Liquid, one of those relics, those nice relics that they want to hold on their shelf, so whenever company comes by and they can see their history, or better yet, Chillindude is one of those guys that's like, all right, put it, one of those accolades where people come to your house and be like, yo, back in the days, man, so good, man. And then let's say Team Liquid talk about like, yeah, man, back in the days was crazy, man. I loved it. And then the other person like, you don't know what you're talking about how it was back in the days. You don't know what you're talking about. You didn't really do much. And then Team Liquid's like, you know what? Hold my beer. Boom. Let me show you. Let me show you what we did back in the days. We had Ken, who was the greatest of all time during that time, right? The greatest Marth, the greatest player. We had Chillindude, and then we had True.TO. So what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that I see to be the reason why they kept them for so long. And I would go as far as saying this. I'm gonna stick to this theory that I have, right? I feel that the Smash Brothers documentary was missing two people